Bonjour tout le monde. David Beckham once said, "Mon seul regret, c'est de ne pas avoir appris une autre langue. My only regret is not having learned another language." So, make sure you learn a language. French can be attached to any career, so it's lovely to have this extra string to your bow. And it's a big advantage to be able to speak another language. And people are always impressed when you start speaking. 60% of your French GCSE will be controlled assessment. So as you go through year 10 and year 11, you will have expert advice and the staff will make sure you get your best possible grade at GCSE. If you look at any newspaper, read the news, 9 out of 10 companies now saying that they wish they had more linguists in their companies, and some companies are actually crying out for people with 1 or 2 languages. And on average you earn £4,000 more per year if you have a language to add. Many celebrities are now coming out and saying how important it is to speak another language. So come on, join us. We look forward to welcoming you into our classrooms at the start of year 10. Improve your life, learn a language. Au revoir tout le monde, à plus.
Mr. Jones,
Hello.
Could you tell us what students who take media in year 10 and 11 can expect to do on the course?
Yes, I can. It's a brand new course. There's a mixture of practical and theory-based content and also an exam.
Great. And so what's the breakdown of the course in terms of exam and coursework?
Okay. The exam is 25% of the course, so it's a smaller percentage. However, the coursework side of it is 75%, and that entails practical work, theory-based work, editing, and then the exam is on a few things like the media industry in general, and then terms that we cover over the 2 years as well.
Okay, so what would a typical lesson in media involve?
Okay, we use the school as a location at Key Stage 4. Sorry, we'll go and film. Maybe we could be doing something based on an advert or a short film. We'll film something, come back. We'll actually import it into the Macs. Each learner will have a Mac for themselves, so they have the opportunity to use the editing software and things like that. So if you're a keen budding YouTuber or a filmmaker or someone interested in the media industry in general, really, it gives you that opportunity to acquire those skills.
Great. And where could the course lead in the future?
We do a level 3 course, so at year 12, 13, we do a course that will give you the points then in UCAS to go off to university and study. It's a very popular course. We have 2 columns in that there as well. And then obviously into the world of the media industry, or you could actually go to university and do it. There's a lot of local buzz at the moment with the media industry in general in South Wales because of things like Casualty, Doctor Who, the BBC film studios there. There's a lot of work being generated at the moment in the local area, as well as a big film studio going, I think, close to Bridgend. So it's quite exciting, very exciting at the moment.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So, Mr. Backhouse, could you tell us what the content of the course is for students in year 10 and 11, please?
Well, for 10 and 11, there are 2 main areas of the course. The first part is the theory aspect, Unit 1, right, that we're talking about living in a digital world. On this part of the course, it's broken down into a number of areas. Topics include things such as personal digital devices, connectivity, operating online, online goods and services, and ICT in the community. The second part of the course, Unit 2, is using digital tools, and this involves a controlled piece of work that involves 70 hours of pupils actually completing work independently under examination conditions.
So what's the breakdown of the course in terms of coursework and exam?
The theory part of the course is 40%. And that covers some of the main things I just discussed earlier. The second part of the course, the controlled assessed element of the qualification, is 60%. This makes it an ideal opportunity for pupils who don't normally do examinations particularly well to actually get a very good grade even before they sit the examination.
Okay, and where could the course lead in terms of future career? And
well, the opportunities for IT in society at the moment are huge. But the initial impact on pupils would be to consider doing a level 3 course in the sixth form, post 16, and this qualification sort of like gives you a foothold in many other IT courses, such as media, computer science, and IT related courses at university.
Excellent. So, Mr. Edlington, could you explain to us the content of the course and what students will do if they take drama next year?
Yeah, basically we offer two courses, GCSE Drama and BTEC Performing Arts. It's a little bit different from other courses in the school because you'll do both of the two courses together in the same lesson. So you'll be doing GCSE Drama and BTEC Performing Arts in the same class. And then at the end of the year you'll get a qualification for both of them. So for example you might get a B in GCSE Drama and then a merit in Performing Arts. Both of the courses are similar to what you do in Year 9 at the moment, but they're a lot more advanced. So you are acting, you're performing, you're getting up and performing in front of the class, but you are using much more technical equipment like lights, costume, props, set, and also you're getting a lot longer to work in on your plays rather than having a drama lesson every week. You'll have one every other day, and also your classes are a lot smaller. So at the moment your classes are 32, you'll be in classes of 18 to 20, so you'll get a lot more individual support. So basically it's like what you do in Year 9, but more advanced, and the performances you do will be of a much higher quality, hopefully.
Great. So what is the breakdown of the course in terms of exam and coursework?
It's virtually all practical performances, so there is no written exam. There is a coursework element, but it's writing about the practical work. So you won't have lots of lessons where you're writing, and you won't have a written exam. Most of it is practical performances, so standing up and performing in front of people, and then I will assess that, and occasionally it will be assessed by someone from outside who will come in and mark your work.
And what could students do after they've finished the course? Where could it lead to?
It's a mix really. Some people obviously do drama because they want to be actors. So for example, behind me there's a poster of Jack Baggs who came to this school, who's now a professional actor, he's in films, he's on TV shows, and some people do it because they want to do that. But obviously it's rare for people to go on and become film stars or be on TV. So some people do it just so that they can become more confident, better at speaking, better at communicating with other people. So whatever job you want to do, most jobs involve some kind of communication or standing in front of people and talking. So whatever job people are interested in, you can help them with those as well.
Excellent. This is health and social. Mr. Hammond, could you tell us what students who take the health and social course can expect to do throughout Year 10 and 11, please?
Yep, we do 8 units over 2 years, 4 units in Year 10 and 4 units in Year 11. You'll be looking at things like communication, you'll be looking at human lifespan development, and you'll be looking at the health service. We'll also do a really interesting unit on nutrition as well.
Okay, and what's the breakdown of the course in terms of exam and coursework?
New to this year's Year 10, the current Year 10, there's now an examined element. So in Year 10 and in Year 11 there's one 1 hour exam, which is sat in the hall, which is multiple choice.
Okay, and what could students who take the course expect to do in terms of future prospects?
Anything to do with people really, so if you fancy being a primary school teacher or a police officer, work in the health industry or the care sector, this is the course for you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm going to tell you about the GCSE graphics course which we run at St Julian's. We spend Year 10 of the course doing lots of different design and make tasks. The Year 10 part of the course isn't assessed, so you'll be doing lots of different tasks which basically get you ready for Year 11 when you start doing your coursework. So projects which we've done in Year 10 in the past are things like promoting a computer game. We also do things like advertising and creating promotional items for a new drinks company. You do things like making a board game as well. So there'll be lots of computer-aided design tasks and lots of hand-drawn tasks, and you can choose really whatever you think you're going to be able to produce the best products doing, either on the computer or by hand. We also do things, or we've done things in the past like building a model of a building, and also making things like pop-up books for children. So Year 10 is spent, as I said, doing lots of design and make tasks, and also studying designers, because you need to know about 2 designers for the examination in Year 11. So the Year 11 course is when the coursework starts. We start in September. It's worth 60% of your final grade in the course. So we spend September to Easter of Year 11 on your coursework. Those a design folder to go with it, and there's also the making element. This year students are advertising a child's toy, so they're making lots of promotional ads and packaging for a child's toy, and also doing the design and the research work to go with it as well. And then at the end of year 11 you have the exam, which is worth 40% of your final grade. Things that it can lead to are obviously doing technology A-level at St Julian's, but also if you want to be any sort of designer, engineer, an architect, an illustrator, also things like a video game designer or a career where you have to make lots of things, like a primary school teacher would have to make lots of resources for children. I think graphics is really good for something like that as well. But the main thing is it's a really, really fun course, and there's lots of, as I said, design and make tasks, and yeah, you get to make lots of different things. Thank you very much.
Mr. Powell, what do students who do the construction course do on the course itself?
Okay, they cover 4 practical units. So there's bricklaying, plumbing, tiling and plastering. As you can see behind me, we're halfway through doing a bricklaying course now. We provide you with all the safety gear you need, things like hard hats, safety goggles, high vis, and you can probably imagine we get quite dirty, so we give you some overalls. The only thing we do expect you to bring is some safety boots for yourselves. Obviously, as you can imagine, it's a physical type of course, so you need to be prepared to put a bit of effort in, a bit of work in. They'll also cover 2 theory units, so it's not all practical based. You'll cover 2 theory units, and there are 2 external exams that you'll need to cover as well.
Excellent. Okay, so students who do the construction course, what sort of career could that lead to after school?
Well, as you can imagine, we're getting you guys ready for work in the construction industry. So, like the things I've just mentioned, so bricklaying, plastering, plumbing, tiling, that kind of thing. Obviously, once you're in the construction industry, you've got a foothold, and you can work your way up from there. And many people who start from bricklaying will end up, they can even work as an architect as well. Obviously, that's way more training. But you've got a massive progression if you do choose to take this course on.
Mr. Hammond, could you tell us what students who take childcare can expect to do on the course, please?
In childcare, you will do 3 units over 2 years. These units consist of a large child study where you will monitor the growth and development of a child over 6 months and report that back. You will also be looking at lifespan development of the early years, and you'll be doing a promotion of nutrition as well.
Could you tell us what the breakdown of the course is in terms of exam and coursework, please?
Yes, one of the units carries an exam. This is a short 1-hour exam in the hall in January with a resit in June.
What could students who take the childcare course expect to do in terms of future prospects?
The students who complete this course either go to work as teaching assistants in primary schools or in nurseries, or many of them go on to college to do a level 2 or level 3 childcare course, which then leads them to work in that industry.
Thank you. Mrs. Waters, could you tell us what students who take geography could expect to do in year 10 and year 11?
Yeah, they take 4 topics for GCSE geography. These are urban environments, coastal environments, hazards and tourism. They're 4 really exciting topics which students really seem to enjoy, and they build on what you've already done in year 9. So nothing is brand new to you, it's just building on what you've already done and furthering your knowledge.
So what's the breakdown of the course in terms of exam and coursework?
Well, it's 75% exam based on the 4 topics which I've just spoken about. There are 2 exams which are equally weighted, and the final 25% is a piece of coursework that we write up. We go on a local field trip. The exam will change the title every year, but we go on a field trip and then we write up that field trip, which is worth 25%. There's also an opportunity for a foreign field trip, which is optional, and we go somewhere like to Germany, France, the Netherlands, Italy. Changes every year, but you will get the opportunity to visit a foreign country.
And where could the geography course lead to in the future?
Well, employers love geography because it's a humanities subject. It's seen as an art and a science. You use lots of skills which employers really like. Literacy, numeracy, IT, communication, collaboration. There's lots of skills used, and it can lead to many job opportunities, things like teaching, architecture, travel and tourism, planning, and lots of other job opportunities as well.
Okay, and Mr. Hemming, could you tell us what students on the product design course do during year 10 and year 11?
Okay, so in year 10, year 11, it's basically based around making various different projects. In year 10, you have a big practice project where we give you a theme and you have to build a project for it. In year 11, the whole year basically is taken up by making one large project. There's a certain amount of exam prep and theory work, things like that, but it's taken up by you designing and making one big project.
So what sort of projects would they do on the course?
So they do things like, it could be anything from sort of like making lamps, making clocks, furniture, designing anything to do with projects, to do with products. So it could be anything to do with, there could be elements of textiles in there could be elements of woodwork, plastic, metalwork, all different sorts of processes for making high quality projects. 3D printing, laser cutting, some design on computers as well.
And what's the breakup of the course in terms of exam and coursework?
60-40, 60% coursework, which is a folder of about 15 pages which shows all your designing and all your thinking, everything to do with your project, and then the actual made project, that's 6%, 40% is exam.
Great, and so what could the course lead to in the future?
So, any area of technical occupation, so technical services, going through into manufacturing, many engineering areas, architecture. Also things like being general designers, so being product designers, being product manufacturers, working in various industries. Anything to do with technology as a general sort of product-based technology.
Mr. Leader, could you tell us what students who take history next year can expect to do on the course, please?
Yes, we've got a very exciting GCSE course. We start off with German history, where we look at the rise to power of Hitler. We look at life in Hitler's Germany before moving on to the Cold War right up to today. Secondly, we look at America in the 20s, and we look at various exciting topics including the Jazz Age, gangsters, boom and bust, sports, and the start of the movie business. Thirdly, we move on to Russia, and we look at the Russian Revolution in 1917 before going on to see what life was like under Lenin and the communists. And fourthly, we've just celebrated the centenary of World War I, and our coursework will be on women on the home front, and also we'll be assessing General Haig's role in the Battle of the Somme, Battle of Passchendaele, etc. on the Western Front.
Okay, so what's the breakdown of the course in terms of exam and coursework?
The breakdown of the course is 25% for each component part. There will be 3 exams and 1 coursework element, so it's 25% for each one.
And where could the course lead in terms of future prospects?
There are lots of opportunities with the history qualification, lots of jobs and careers that it can lead to. Just some examples would be law, business, sales, journalism, but also many other opportunities.
Mrs. Flynn, could you please tell us what students who take hospitality can expect to do on the course?
On the course, we do a lot of written work. We do 2 exams, so we spend quite a while doing work that you will need to learn for the exams. There's 1 exam on the hospitality industry and there's 1 on healthy eating. The rest of the units are made up of coursework, which will be made up of lessons that I teach, and then you do assignments. Some of the coursework is practical, so we spend a lot of time cooking. If you do the course, you must expect to do cooking every week, and you are expected to bring ingredients for your practical lessons.
So where could the course lead to in terms of future career or prospects?
Well, the hospitality industry is an ever-growing industry, and there are an awful lot of jobs, going from waitering, which a lot of my year 11 are currently doing, right up to hotel management, catering management. You can do further courses in practical areas, you can do further courses in degrees. There are degrees in events management, hotel management, in a lot of universities. We do a level 3 course in school, and some of my year 12 and 13 students now are looking to do either practical courses because they want to be chefs, or they're looking into doing apprenticeships or degrees in hotel management and events management.
Mr. Hopkin, could you tell us what students who take engineering can expect to do on the course?
They study a range of different engineering sectors. If you imagine looking down on Google Earth at the planet and all the different structures that are on it, they've all been designed, manufactured and maintained by engineers, and that's covered in the module engineering world. There are a number of mandatory units we do, and there's also some specialist units we do, one of them being design for engineering, and there's also a module on electronic engineering.
Great, okay, so what is the breakdown of the course in terms of exam and coursework?
There is an exam. The exam is worth a total of 25%. The other 75% of the course is made up of not coursework but actual assessments that are started in class and completed at home.
And what could students who take the course expect to do in terms of further pathways?
Well, it's a BTEC vocational course. It's a level 2 vocational course, and it's actually equal to 2 GCSE subjects. So progression would be in year 12 on the A-level product design course.
Mr. Henning, could you tell us what students who take textiles will study in year 10 and year 11, please?
Okay, in year 10 we look at developing all the skills that they'll need in order to make high quality projects. So we do group work, we do things like making garments, making clothing, we make various things like aprons, various sort of intensive textiles projects that need a lot of skills in order to make them. That's in year 10. In year 11, the whole year is taken up by one big project, and that big project can be anything you like based on a design brief that we're given. It involves making a coursework folder of about 15 pages and a made item. Some of the items, sort of things are made in the past, you can see up here. So it could be clothing, it could be projects like this, or, you know, children's toys, that sort of thing. So there's various projects you can make.
Okay, so what's the breakdown of the course in terms of coursework and exam?
Okay, so it's 60%, 40%, 60% coursework and made objects. So you do your folder and you make your item, and that comes up 60% of whatever grade you get. 40% is the exam, and you do all of that in year 11.
Great, okay, so after doing GCSE textiles, where could it lead to in the future?
Okay, so any industry that involves any sort of textile component, so that could be anything from fashion, working in clothing design, right the way through to upholstery, working in design houses and places like that, designing all sorts of soft furnishings or clothing, those sorts of things. So many different industries that you could go into in textiles.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Business Studies.
Mr. Gabb, could you please tell us what students who take business studies next year can expect to do on the course?
Okay, so the Business Studies course we're offering next year is the GCSE Business Studies. So that's not the BTEC. If you've had any older brothers or sisters that have done it in the past, it's the GCSE. What that basically consists of is you'll do 10 different units which range across setting up your own business, and that's sort of small businesses in the first year, right up to knowing how the world of business works in your second year and year 11.
Great, so what is the breakdown of the course in terms of exam and coursework?
So in terms of exam and coursework, there's 2 exams that you do at the end of year 11. One is multiple choice, and that's worth 25%, and the other one is a sort of small question and answer based exam paper. What that is basically no more than kind of 7-mark questions, so it's not big essays, and that tends to be on specific businesses that we'll do examples of in the actual course, and that's worth 50%. There is a control assessment which we do at the beginning of year 11, and that's worth 25%, and we do that in the classroom itself. You do that on setting up your own business. So it's quite good because it means that if you're interested in at all going into business yourself, or perhaps you're quite creative, then you actually get to come up with your own business idea, and you write about that. So it's quite nice because you can make it individual rather than me giving you an essay question you have to do, which quite often happens in other subjects.
Great, so where could the course lead in the future if students take the course?
In terms of where the course can go, Business Studies is a great grounding course. What it means is you can kind of go anywhere with Business Studies essentially. Every job that any of you will ever go into in the future will have an element of Business Studies attached to it. We cover all the different areas of business in GCSE, so whether it's you are interested in marketing and doing promotions and advertising, so maybe you want to go down the line of TV or kind of creative business, we do that. If you're more interested in you kind of making lots of money and your finance side of it and you're quite good with your maths, we do a little bit of that as well. But really, most jobs involve business studies. And it's a great thing for if you'd like to possibly set up your own business, or even if you're not sure what you want to do yet in life, it means that you can understand how the world of work works when you actually are kind of looking at options when you go into sixth form or college next year. Oh, sorry, in 2 years' time.
Mr. Edwards, could you tell us what students who take music can expect to do on the course?
Well, music at Key Stage 4 follows the same strands that you followed at Key Stage 3. So you're still looking at performing, you're still looking at composing, and you're still looking at appraising. We're running 2 courses side by side. So in the GCSE course, you will do 2 performances, a solo performance and an ensemble performance, which don't have to be to an audience. You will compose 2 pieces of music, and you will do a listening exam. In the BTEC course, which, as I said, we're running at the same time, you do an exam in the music industry. You will be creating either a concert or a CD, and you will also be doing some performance, but the performances will be the same that you use for GCSE.
Great. So what's the breakdown in terms of coursework and exam?
Well, for the GCSE, the breakdown is 30% for the composing, 30% for the performing, 2 of each, as I've said, so composing, 2 contrasting compositions. But you can use IT, so you don't need to be put off by I can or I can't read music. You can use IT to do that, so it's absolutely fine. And in performing, you do 2 performances, which can be vocal or instrumental, and vocal is able to get as many marks as the instrumental side of it, which is really important to know. One of which is an ensemble performance, one of which is a solo performance, and that's 30% of the marks. And the final 40% of the marks is on the listening exam. You learn about set works, learning a little bit about the composers, some of the features of the music. Again, there is a little bit of reading and writing music in it, but nothing that you won't be taught during the course. In terms of BTEC, you get 3 units equally weighted. There's a multiple choice exam at the end of the course based on the musical industry, and the other 2 units are internally moderated coursework, so your concert or CD and your performances.
Great. So where could the course lead in the future for students?
Well, there's kind of, I suppose, two kind of people who take music. Those people who take music just because they love it and want to do it. It might not be a career progression, but it's certainly a very valued course, particularly if you progress onto A level, it's very valued by universities. The other kind of person, obviously, who will take music is the people who want to be musicians. So you've got a great progression route there, again, through a post-16 course, whether it is a BTEC course or an A-level course, and again onto university or employment in the music industry.
Mr. Hammond, could you tell us all about the hairdressing course, please?
Yeah, hairdressing is a course that is offered at Coleg Gwent. You will travel to the college on a Thursday afternoon after school. It's at 2 hours. You will do hair in year 1 and beauty in year 2. They're both a level 1 course, which progresses onto a level 2 and a level 3 once you leave St Julian's.
Right, so this is sport. So, Mr. Newman, can you tell us what students can expect to experience if they take sport in year 10 and 11?
So, GCSE PE consists of 60% practical, in which we cover a lot of the sports they've done in Key Stage 3, and they have to offer 4 sports within that 60%. They also have to do a personal exercise programme and some analysis of performance on their preferred sport. So the boys normally do football or rugby, and then the girls will normally look at netball. The other 40% is a theory exam, so that's where we do classroom-based work, and that's one final exam at the end of year 11, and they also have a practical assessment day at the end of year 11 to get those 2 grades.
Brilliant. So where could the course lead in the future?
be in sports and go in any number of different avenues. So I went and did a sports coaching degree, but you can go into physiotherapy, sports psychology, biomechanics, in anything to do with sport really.
Miss Sexton, could you tell us what students who take Spanish in year 10 and 11 can expect to do on the course, please?
The course is pretty much the same as Key Stage 3 in terms of the content. I mean, we do a lot of the same topics as we do in Key Stage 3, which is quite nice because it's all familiar to you and it's kind of like a safety net in a way. We do things like holidays, school, hometown, but at the same time we also do quite sort of more grown-up topics like the environment, healthy eating, etc. So we work a lot with the Chromebooks, we work a lot with games and pretty much all of the things you've done in Key Stage 3.
And could you tell us the breakdown of the course in terms of coursework and exam, please?
I think the breakdown of the course is quite favourable for the students in that 60% of the final grade is done before the exam through doing controlled assessments. So in year 10 we do a written exam, which is like your written assessments in Key Stage 3, and a speaking exam, which is like, again, like your speaking assessments in Key Stage 3, which is done with me in class. And then we do another written one in year 11 and another speaking in year 11. And those make up the 60%. Then the listening exam is 20% and the reasoning exam is 20%, and those are done at the end of year 11. But you'll be fully prepared for those.
Okay, and where could the Spanish course lead to in the future?
I think in the past, languages have always been viewed as quite academic subjects. So in terms of you applying for unis, I think having a language on your CV is an excellent thing to have. They're always viewed favourably, they're always viewed highly by UCAS and universities, especially as in England it's compulsory to have languages now. So I think not having a language on your CV would do yourself a great discredit. A lot of people have the attitude of that everybody speaks English, so what's the point? I don't want to go and live in Spain. But I think when 75% of the world don't speak any English at all, that's a lot of business that's going to waste. That's a lot of the economy, of our economy, that's going to waste. I mean, companies are always crying out for people who speak languages, and I think language graduates on average earn between 8 and 20% more than other graduates, which I think is an incentive for people to do languages.
Miss Huddleston, could you tell us what students who take full course RS could expect to experience on the course, please?
Okay, we study abortion, euthanasia, fertility treatment, cloning. We look at whether it's right to make fun of religion in the media, so we watch things like The Simpsons and a little bit of Family Guy and start talking about whether that's blasphemy or whether that's just entertainment. We start discussing whether or not there is a God, whether we can actually prove it or not. So there's a lot of discussion and debates. And we actually use some of the Year 9 stuff you've done. So we look at racism, a little bit of Martin Luther King, and we look at sexism, and we look at end of life. So what happens when we die, what we believe about that.
Okay, so what's the breakdown of the course in terms of exam and coursework?
Right, there's no coursework for RS, there's 4 exams. Okay, there's 2 ethics papers and there's 2 philosophy papers. What happens is you have the 2 ethics papers in one session, and then you have the other 2 a month later. So it's all at the end of year 11.
The GCSE art course starts with a series of workshops where we are learning to develop skills such as drawing, painting, printmaking, photography, collage, digital imaging, and many more. We look at a variety of artists and are inspired to produce our own original artwork. The GCSE course is 60% coursework and 40% externally set tasks.
A GCSE in art could lead on to careers such as an animator, architect, game designer, illustrator, set designer, tattooist, web design, community artist, fashion designer, photographer, an art therapist, and many more. Even engineering students are being told to embrace the arts to develop their creative sides.
The course is made up of 3 units called Photographic Applications, Creative Camera Techniques, and Working with Photographic Briefs. We are learning to use digital cameras effectively and how to enhance images using Photoshop.
The course is 100% coursework. BTEC Photography is a specialist course and could aid anyone looking to go into photography professionally.
So, Miss Jeffries, what would students who take sociology in year 10 and 11 study?
In sociology, we study a range of subjects from crime, media, family, education to social inequality.
And what is the breakdown of the course in terms of exam and coursework?
It's an academic GCSE with exams at the end of year 11, so there are 2 exams and there's no coursework.
And where could taking sociology as a GCSE lead to in terms of future career and prospects?
In sociology, we look at society, so any job that involves people or working within society is particularly suited to a sociologist. So we might be looking at police, teaching, law,